Good morning, everybody. I'm Elise as Another Truth on YouTube. I hope that you're all doing well and taking exceptional care of yourselves. Thank you so much for listening to this audio-only video. I do appreciate the time that you have taken to listen to it. Today, this is just a quick personal update video. It won't be a very lengthy one. I guess this week has been an interesting one with so much going on in my life, and I guess it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but I take little accomplishments very seriously because they add to my goals that I have set for my life. I have completed my committee work and we have tested everything, and it's ready for final vote by the community, which will happen shortly. There are some things that I, wish I could have foreseen, things that I wish I could have changed. And I wish that the community had, the committee had a lot more to do with other types of things. But at the same time, I will tell you, it was great working with my co-delegates and my fellow community members, because they're so remarkably invested in the betterment of the community. And I am so proud to have worked among these group of people. And my subcommittee especially, was so conscientious and caring and thoughtful and intelligent and remarkable. And I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to work with such wonderful and fine people. I don't know. I feel like a little bit at a loss because the work is done, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? I know what I need to do next. There are other things on the horizon that I've planned for. But this was such a wonderful experience to be a part of something that changes. Now, it was a politically adjacent type of issue. So while it did not focus on parties or anything like that, it did focus on the betterment of the entire community. That's everybody. Now, I do have my issues with the community. I do have my issues with a lot of things about it. I've voiced them. But I think that this will hopefully evolve to where that kind of crosses those lines where people separate themselves, and where they would separate themselves from other neighborhoods in the community and things like that. So I think that this committee will happen again, and it will evolve to something more powerful, more diverse, more, life-changing for a lot of other people, as it was for me personally. This experience did change my life. I feel very confident that I can speak up for myself. I can advocate for things. Everything that I've learned, everything that I've practiced, everything that I worked so hard on really came through on this. And now I know what I'm doing in this type of work, that I have the confidence to take on more tasks and do more research and have focus and not let those inner thoughts consume me, the inner thoughts of worthlessness and things like that. I still battle that even doing this. I still battle that. And even like the last day, I can't explain it. I just can't explain it. And, I can't keep taking anti-anxiety medicine every time that I feel anxious or I have some level of panic. Sometimes there are things far more important for me to do than to focus on my fears. So I would say this experience for me has been life-changing in that regard, that I can separate myself from myself, if that makes sense, and put on my professional hat, so to speak, and be able to present myself forward. So I find that while it is, it's local, it's community, it doesn't really have anything to do with this community, but it has had such an impact in my life. And it was strictly a volunteer position. Now, I don't believe people should be forced necessarily to volunteer. I think people should want to volunteer because they want to do it. I mean, there are times where people are expected to perform community service and everything. And I think to some extent, I think um, doing that can help some people sort of restore their care for community that way. Um, it's a kinder way of paying restitution. No, I think people should be paid for their work. I think people um, should be paid well for their work. They should have the things that they need to be able to take care of themselves and advance in whatever they want to do. But I also think there is a wonderful aspect to volunteering. And I would suggest that if a person can, and if a person wants to, especially if one person isn't feeling really happy about things, to volunteer, because it really, for me personally, it really takes myself out of my own world. It's been the best thing possible. And I still do other volunteer work with another agency, and I anticipate to do more. But now I'm having that confidence to do this type of work that I'm preparing myself for. Um, that will have a larger impact. But I don't think I'm better than anybody else in that regard. I don't think I'm more powerful than anybody else in that regard. I just have something to contribute. Sometimes I do get too, I'm full of myself, but with talking about certain YouTube people, and um, I guess I'm just so pissed off with them that I try to one up them in my own mind. But the thing is that for some of these YouTube people who are still, you know, experiencing things and acting out, I was there once. I didn't go to that extreme, but I've always had that kind of like resentment and deep-seated anger and stuff because of my own insecurities. I mean, in life, um, we have to make choices. We have to make choices, and what's a path we want to go on that's going to be the most beneficial to us, but also one that's really going to help us to heal. I always say there's a choice in the matter. I, now, not everybody will find that my way of healing is the right way. Everybody has their own way to heal. They have their own way of contributing. Their paid job is enough. Raising children, believe me, it's more than enough. Doing all of it is enough. It's tough, though. It's a little easier for me in that regard because my children are now grown up. So the only person really I have to look out for is myself. Although I have other responsibilities, I'm still a mother, so I still have to provide a level of emotional support, um, and being a supportive parent the best that I can be, and taking care of my cat and looking out for my friends, especially my elderly best friend. I mean, these are these are people, of course, I love, and that I want the very best for them, and I will do my best to be the best in their lives. Um, it's it's hard having a lot of responsibility, but I'm loving having responsibility because it makes me feel like I have a purpose. And not just what we're expected to be responsible for, but for other things like outside of our own needs, you know what I mean? I It's incredibly stressful sometimes because I always don't feel like I'm doing good enough. I'm not contributing enough, but I'm doing what I can. But as long as I'm doing it, I'm building it, I'm taking the steps to do it, I will be fully on the right direction soon, I believe. So that's where I'm at with my life. And I have goals. Um, I'm going back to art class. Well, I'm continuing my art um, journey. So next semester, I'm doing wheel throwing, spinning, and pottery. And I'm looking forward to doing that because it will help me connect more with my body. Movement is very good for the brain. It helps to interpret things in a different way. Um, in this case, it's different from drawing and doing watercolor painting. It's a little different medium. It's going to get messy. I really love it. I'm really happy about that. I'm happy I'm going to be using my body more to create because it's good for my mind. There are scientific reasons for that, medical reasons for that. I need to be more connected and appreciate my body more. So I know that this is going to help with that. Plus, my creation at the end, I'll say I did that. And it might lead to other avenues. Like I spoke to a local um, a local shop here about how they like acquire fine art from the community or art from the community, um, to sell to the public. So that's something that I'm thinking about doing with my own art when I am committed to doing that. That's something that I can do with the balance of everything else in my life, if such a balance can be achieved. So that's one avenue of presenting myself in the community. I'm really excited about that opportunity, but I want to do the enjoyment of learning and the therapy that I give myself through doing that. Um, it's interesting because in Massachusetts, insurance doesn't typically cover art therapy or music therapy. Now, I had all of these types of therapies when I was a teenager, and I found them to be helpful, and I think that's why I can respect what they do. It's not something that ever really left me. It may not have cured me of anything, but it really helped me to see the value of art and art connected with therapy, clinical art therapy. So I'm going to have to take the approach of using art as therapy instead of art therapy, which are two different things. One is clinical, one is for enrichment and emotional stability, emotional uplifting and stuff. So I have to take that approach. So I'm going to have to ask my therapist, kind of get around the art therapy thing. Because if I wanted an art therapist, I would have to switch therapists because of the payment system, of the payment guidelines of my insurance. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I love my therapist. Well, I love her, meaning like I love her professionalism, how we get along and stuff like that. It's professional and ethical and everything. And, but I may ask her for some insight as I'm doing this therapy. Because there are certain um, methods to that that will work. And it's okay if I just treat it like, that way. It's okay. I have a right to do that. I have a right to work through the theoretical mental stuff, the cognitive stuff, and connect it with the actual doing of it. I do it anyway because I have always have homework to do. I always have homework to do after therapy. This is what I need to do. So it's like putting that into action. It's like maybe occupational you know. Um, but it's not. It's strictly cognitive therapy, but we have to kind of work around things. There's always homework anyway in any kind of therapy. Like even when I was in physical therapy before the pandemic, because of a problem with my shoulder, um, I had homework to do. I had to do the exercising at home, the techniques to be able to do that. It seemed to have helped. I do think that there was an underlying medical problem which contributed to it. And I later learned from my surgeon kind of how things are weirdly connected in the body and how that could have affected it. Because I think this other medical thing that I had affected my eyesight. And once this thing was taken care of, those two things healed over time. It's weird, but it's still good to, to treat it with respect, not overdo things, do the techniques because it still had to be done. But like I said, it's homework. But anyway, that's it. And I'm going to treat myself for doing a good job with this committee. Although this committee work technically isn't done, we have to do the public work now, like the other public work to get the word out. But um, I'm going to treat myself to Boston Lyric Opera. And Lyric Opera is awesome. And there are a couple of shows that will be, that I'm thinking about, either the Nutcracker later on in the year, or there's another show next month. But I haven't decided which to do. Now I get a discount because of an organization I'm affiliated with. So it'll be more affordable, because without it, I wouldn't be able to afford it. I mean, the Nutcracker's expensive. And I want to see either one, but that is a reward for me for working hard through my volunteer work and being helpful to my co-delegates and being helpful for the community. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, and that's it. Oh, I don't know if I think it's National Movie Day on Sunday. I'm not sure. I think it's across the United States anyway. So here on Sunday, movies are $4 this Sunday. So if you get a chance, book your tickets to see whatever movie you're interested in. I've booked mine for Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that. All right. Well, that's it. I hope you all take care of yourselves and be safe this weekend. Enjoy. And that's it. Bye-bye.